What's going on, moms? So you got Coach Zoe here with Simple Mom Fitness. This will be our postpartum mobility workouts, okay? So not really a workout. You will get your blood flowing, you will activate those muscle groups. So we're gonna focus on lengthening with activation, okay? So I know it sounds a little like we're working against ourselves, a little contradictory there. But just working the opposite side, that we are lengthening rather than just trying to stretch our bodies with really no purpose. So otherwise, let's get started. We're gonna just jump right into it because this is a mobility workout. We're not gonna really be doing anything intense, so we're just gonna gradually build that heat through the workout, okay? So let's get started. Have a little bit of space around you, and we're gonna get started off with just a nice simple overhead reach. So let's get those feet about hip width apart, and I want you to just take a deep breath in and reach nice and tall overhead. And notice I'm drawing my belly inwards here. So when we are postpartum, we got to really focus on that vacuuming of the belly, okay, to really draw that abdominal wall in. And that's what's going to build you that nice tight core, or at least bring that core strength and stability back, okay, after they've been stretched out for all that time. So arms nice and high. Now I'm not just standing here with my arms up, okay, I'm actively reaching away. So you should feel some activity building, a little bit of warmth building up in those shoulders right now. Make sure you're drawing your thumbs backwards behind you so that your biceps are in line with your ears, okay? So biceps are in line with my ears, tucking my chin inwards. Again, belly is drawn in, lifting the crown of my head towards the ceiling. Just hold here for a minute, build up a little bit of warmth. While we're here, let's do some rotations. Rotate your wrists, okay? We're not just rotating the hands, we're rotating the wrists, and you'll notice my elbows are drawing inwards and outwards as well. So I'm still reaching high. It's kind of like I'm turning a light bulb into the ceiling. Keep that belly drawn in, deep breaths. Good, and we're gonna reach up nice and tall. Take a deep breath in, fill that belly up, and exhale, draw the belly in. I want you to lift your gaze a little bit. We're not going to push our hips forward here. We're still gonna draw that belly inwards, but we're gonna find a very gentle back bend. So depending on how far postpartum you are, this may be too intense. So if that's too intense and you just can look up, that's fine too. All right, we are trying to find a light arch through that upper back, and we're drawing our elbows behind us, okay? Elbows behind us, try to keep them in line with the shoulders. Palms are open, hands are active. And with every exhale, try to draw that belly in more, because that belly is your support, so you're not just putting all kinds of weight on your low back, right? So draw that belly in, maybe look a little bit farther back, and let's rep it out. So we're gonna inhale, reach up, and try to exhale as you lean back. Now this isn't really a yoga class, okay? I know with yoga you do a lot of like breath work with your movements. That's really not what we're doing here, but, and I know I'm talking, so I'm kind of not doing that. But when we breathe, okay, we're really using our diaphragm and that abdominal wall, so it's really important, since this is postpartum, that we're working our breath with our movement in a back bend like this. Okay, now hold that goal pose. Get up, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let your knees be slightly bent, right? We don't want to be straightening them, locking them out, putting all that weight on our low back. Good. All right, and rest, shake it out. So, again, if you are newly postpartum, that should have been a lot of work, right? I feel a lot of heat right now in my shoulders and my upper back. So just kind of shake it out a little bit, roll your head. All right, next, we're gonna do an overhead deadlift. So, keeping those arms up nice and tall again. We're gonna maintain this position again, bicep in line with the ears, reaching. So again, we're active right now, but we're finding a lot of length in that spine. So see how that mobility with activation is working? So we're gonna hinge from the hips, allow those knees to bend, but they're staying over the ankles still. Just get as deep as you can comfortably. You're gonna feel some work in this low back now, okay? And we're gonna take real slow reps. I want you to focus on squeezing the glutes as you stand, drawing that belly inward. Stay active through those palms. Again, if you're doing it right, this should feel like not a lot of work, right? But if you've been resting, truly resting for at least a few weeks since you've had baby, and maybe even longer, because that last month is pretty challenging to stay active. And this should feel like a decent amount of work. I mean, I'm sweating. Hopefully you are too. And just keep slowly roughing it out. And now we're gonna find that overhead deadlift. So reaching forward, go ahead, release your arms down. And you're just gonna gently round the back, let your head hang. Adjust my mic. Let your head hang. Bending the knees, and we're gonna round the back as we stand up nice and tall. And think you're coming up vertebrae by vertebrae, with the last thing to come up is your chin. Okay, so let's do that again. So hinging down, drop the arms, round the back, and slowly ragdoll your way up. You look up at the ceiling to finish. Again, couple more. Arms down, slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, round that back, and look up. Okay, shake it out again. Let's get some very gentle twists in. Very gentle twists. And we are allowing our shoulders to twist independently from our hips, right? All throughout pregnancy, you gotta keep the torso in one, right? One flat line. Oh, that twisting feels so good. Okay, but we don't need to do it too much. All right, next we're gonna build some heat in that back again. Now this mobility, a lot of times when we're postpartum, now pregnancy, right? Our chests are getting bigger, even if you're nursing, even if you're not nursing, you probably had a little bit of weight gain there. Our postures are getting pulled forward so much. So with this mobility, right, trying to mobilize those shoulders. So activate that back so that way our chest and our shoulders are more open, which is gonna give you some more upper body mobility, right, in those shoulders. So just so you know what we're doing while we're doing it. So let's find that deadlift position, okay? Now we don't have any weights, right? But we're gonna pretend. So either make a nice, strong, tight fist, or you can point your thumbs up. I like to point my thumbs, it gives me direction. Keeping that back nice and flat, we're gonna raise those arms to an I position, bring them back down, and then raise them out for a T. Okay, so I'm at an angle here just so you can kind of see best of both from the side and the front. And we're just gonna rep this out. And take your time. Squeeze those shoulder blades down the back when you come up for your I, and then together when you come up for the T. So you're gonna feel some heat in those legs now. Your glutes are probably starting to talk to you. Maybe even the hip flexors. Make sure we're grounding down in those heels. Good, all right, let's hold that T position and just find some light pulses. Light pulses. Notice my hands, right? My palms are open, active hands. And let's bring one left, either your left hand or your right hand, doesn't matter, but I'm gonna do my left hand down. I'm gonna keep my left knee bent, okay? I'm gonna start to straighten my right leg. Now, you're probably a little tight, so that's okay. Don't force it. We're gonna find a nice windmill position here. And if this is too much to reach up with that opposite arm, just keep it behind your back or at your hip, whatever feels good for you. And we're gonna rotate, right? We're gonna alternate. So now switch hands. I like to keep my fingertips down so I'm not just falling into my hands. And reach back up with the other side. So if my right hand's down, my right knee is bent. And I'm trying to straighten that left leg as much as I can, but I'm not forcing it. So you should feel that mobility, right? We're getting a nice stretch to the back of the legs now. So we just worked on opening up that spine, warming it up, especially our low back with those overhead deadlifts. And now that low back, right, is starting to get a little bit of lengthening in it. And our chest, right? Because this is pretty hard to just jump into. So we just spent all that time opening up our chest. Good, just a couple more reps. Good, and take your time, stand up nice and tall. All right, so we're gonna do a few of those windmills from a standing position. So we're gonna alternate from that stand. So we're gonna reach down, left hand, left knee's bent, my right leg is straight, and then stand up. Other side. So I'm kind of doing a deadlift, right? I'm doing that hinge position as I alternate. And just take your time. If you can't even go all the way, that's fine. If you can't even go all the way to the floor, because that's just too much, that's okay with me. Good, a couple more. All right, and let's put those hands on the floor. I'm gonna turn again. Hands on the ground, we're gonna walk back into a plank and then walk back up. Now notice, okay, I want you to try to get those feet as high as you can, as close to your hands as you can before you step up. So notice I'm in this kind of deadlift position. I'm going real wide here. Even though I have short legs, I shouldn't really have to. But I'm going really wide because I'm not very mobile, so I'm still pretty early postpartum, so still getting my body back, right? So we're walking back to that plank and walking back in. Now, if it's too hard to go with both feet into the plank, since we're there just for a moment, I want you to just step one foot back at a time and then stand. So we're kind of going into like a runner's lunge here. Again, if you feel comfortable with stepping both feet back at the same time, that's awesome. A couple more reps. Notice I'm standing up with a flat back, so nice long spine when I come up from my stand. Almost there. We're gonna find that plank and push back to a down dog. Okay. So when you're in your down dog, let's make sure that those hands are about shoulder width apart. Pressing our heels towards the floor, feet are about hip width. And we're gonna get active again. We're gonna get busy and move. So I want you to reach that right hand to right foot, left hand to left foot. So opening up the backs of those legs. This will feel really good if you've had sciatica throughout your pregnancy, or even you still have it as postpartum, because I do. It didn't take a day to get it, and it doesn't take a day to lose it. So just keep alternating as you reach back. If you can't touch your toes, reach for your knee or your shin or whatever you can reach, okay? Almost there. All right, find your plank again. If that's too intense, come to your knees. All right, after that, we're gonna do a hand release push-up. So we're gonna use our posterior chain, or use our back muscles, and then we're gonna press up with a push-up. If the push-up's too intense, or we just can't do that, I want you to just walk down to a low plank, okay? And you can even do that from tabletop. It is easier to do a tabletop push-up. Not my favorite because it tends to be done wrong. It tends to not be done with proper form. So it kind of looks a little goofy. If you're gonna be on your knees, so let's try to keep those hips nice and long, right? So notice my shoulders, there's one nice long flat line from my shoulders to my knees. Okay, so we're gonna lower down to our belly, lift in that Superman, and then press back up. Okay, so rep this out. If one is too intense, you can just take it out, right? So if this is too much, maybe it's too much pressure on your low belly, then just look up, right? You don't have to take your hands off the ground, that's okay. If the push-up's too hard, like I said, we can just do a low to high plank from tabletop. Or you could just stay on your belly and rep out these Supermans. Okay, a few more reps. We're almost there, ladies. Good, and one more press up. All right, from here, we're gonna work our lizard, okay, our lizard lunge. So, I want you to step one foot nice and high next to those hands. Let me rotate a little bit, so you can see here. So, foot is high, as close as you can to your hands. Okay, we're opening up those hips. It's probably a little bit intense. And we're just gonna lift that back knee off the ground and touch. Lift and touch. Lift and touch. Lift and touch. So just keep repping this out. And when you lift that back knee up, I want you to really push your heel back. It's gonna activate your quads there, okay? Make sure you're keeping as much weight as you can in your feet. So try to keep a light touch in your hands if you can. Good, and hold it for 3, 2, 1. Let's switch sides. So opposite foot nice and close to those hands. Just get comfortable here for a moment. And then we're gonna lift and lower that back knee. So lift it up. Again, pushing that back heel away from you and lower down. Lift and touch. Lift and touch. Good, and work at a pace that's good for you. Try not to race through it, because again, this is a mobility workout, so we're not trying to get like a hard sweat in here. We're just trying to warm up the body, open the joints, activate some muscle groups that are probably sleeping, right? And if whether you're nursing or not, your hip flexors are getting so tight taking care of baby, right? Diaper changes, feeding them, burping them, you're doing a lot of sitting, especially a lot of crouching. Good, all right. From here, take your time, stand up nice and tall. We're gonna get a wide stance, and we're gonna do some lateral lunges. So, as wide as it feels comfortable for you. Make sure your toes are in a straight line. And we're gonna drop our hips side to side. So you can keep your hands on the floor if that's doable, or hands on the couch or a chair. And I just want you to keep your weight mostly in your heels, grounding through the outer edge of your feet. And you're just gonna drop those hips side to side. Again, keeping a pace that works for you. So this feels pretty good for me. So I'm gonna work a little bit faster. And you can have as shallow of a stance as you need. Try not to be too narrow, because obviously then you're not really gonna get the point of it. You're not gonna work those outer hips as much. Good, just a few more reps. Good, straighten those legs and round your back slowly, come up to a stand. All right, we have one last movement. We're gonna do our pigeon squats. So these are one of my favorites. So it's like your pigeon stretch that you do on the floor, except here we're gonna activate with it. We're gonna make it into our workout, okay? So pick a side, use the wall for balance if you need to, or a stick or a chair, anything, okay? But we're gonna take one leg. Now we don't wanna put weight on the joints, okay? So we're gonna cross just above the ankle, just above the knee. Okay, so not on the knee, not on the ankle. So just above each of those. Okay, so you're gonna kind of figure 4 your legs. And I'm doing this from an angle because I want you to see, actually, I'm gonna turn this way. I'm gonna push whatever leg is down, I'm gonna push my hips out in that direction. So I'm gonna sit back toward that grounded leg. And that's gonna open up this figure 4 side. And then stand up and release. And you can keep those legs figure forward as you stand up and sit down. That's fine. Okay, but I don't want this to be a balance test. I want you to really get that activation and lengthening. So we're activating on this side, and we're lengthening over here. So this is for those glutes. And just sit your hips back, and again, at an angle towards that grounded hip. Okay, because if I were to go towards my figure 4 hip, it would look kind of like this. It's almost a little hard to do that anyways. Or it'd be shallow, my knee's gonna go forward. We don't wanna do that. I wanna keep that knee back. So sitting all the way back. All right, switch sides. Turn here so you can see. Again, above the knee, above the ankle. And we're gonna sit those hips back, 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 and down. Good. And try to get maybe a little bit farther every time. Just kind of test your range of motion safely, of course. Good, one more. And rest. All right, let's shake it out. Let's just do a quick roll through the entire body. So, starting with the top of the head, with the top of your head. I don't know how you're gonna roll the top of your head. All right, let's just find a couple neck rolls, nice and slow and controlled. And other direction. And let's shoulder roll backwards, right? Because the whole point of what we did today was to open the chest, open the shoulders. Good, and some light twists side to side. Try to keep your hips pointing forward. If you have that diastasis rocti, which many of us get, okay, we want to be careful. I mean, regardless, we want to be careful of how quickly we come back with our core strength. Okay, we don't want to try to push it too hard, too fast, but be careful of those twists. Okay, so this is just a nice, light, gentle twist. Good. All right, from here, let's roll your hips around in a circle a couple times in each direction. How are we feeling? Feel like our bodies did some stuff? Good. All right, let's bring your feet hip width apart. Roll your knees side to side. Good, and your ankles and toes. All right, that is it, okay? If you are feeling good, try to give this video a like. Otherwise, I will catch you on the next video. This is a great one to do before bed to help you wind down and rest, all right, and get all those kinks out. Maybe in the morning after you wake up and you're feeling stiff. Just throughout your day, maybe after you're feeding baby, you're changing baby, and you feel like you're starting to hold a lot of stress and tension in certain places. Okay, so otherwise, hang on to this video. You're gonna wanna come back to it. I'll catch you next time.